During the investigation, everything turned up at the apartment of Bozina's lover, Atanas. When questioned in court, Atanas admitted to being in a relationship with Bozina and revealed that she had been covering all his living expenses. Atanas was unemployed at the time, and Bozina provided him with financial support, but there was a catch: he had to keep her satisfied in return. With Bozina no longer around, Atanas couldn't afford the rent and had to leave the apartment, putting an end to the cushy lifestyle she had set up for him. Hi there, and welcome to our channel. Today, we're diving into another chilling real-life story. This time, it comes from Pernik City, Bulgaria. Debt. Just the word itself can bring up endless stories. And when someone avoids paying what they owe, it often spirals into chaos, dragging in people who had nothing to do with it in the first place. That's exactly the theme of our story today. A debt problem that escalated into something truly horrifying. What really happened in this case? Let's dive right in and find out. Before we dive into the story, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this story with your friends. It's one you won't want to miss. So, here's the story. Meet Valentin, a handsome banker born in 1989. Known for his politeness, strong faith, and the respect he earns from friends and family, Valentin is someone who naturally stands out. As the eldest of two siblings, he has always been a role model for his younger sister, Anelia. Valentin started his career in Sofia but later requested a transfer to Pernik, Bulgaria. This move brought him closer to his family, his single mother, Christina, and his sister, Anelia. Despite their 5-year age gap, Valentin and Anelia share a strong bond. He taught her many things, and she eventually landed a job at a jewelry company owned by one of his best friends. Their mother, Christina, is a respected figure in their community. A retired school principal, she's now one of the trusted religious leaders in their area. She raised her children to be humble, generous, and grounded. Valentin and Anelia are known not only for their achievements but also for their kindness. They're always willing to help those in need. The family's bond is remarkable. Weekly dinners are a tradition, as are their monthly activities, like volunteering at orphanages and distributing food to the homeless. Christina even donates half of her late husband's pension to a local nursing home in Pernik. Despite having modest means, their spirit of giving is unwavering, a stark contrast to the wealthy who sometimes hesitate to share their fortune. Now, let's fast forward to the middle of 2016. Valentin met a woman named Bozina, a fellow banker who worked for a different company. They were introduced by a mutual friend, and sparks quickly flew. Bozina, 3 years older than Valentin, was a widow. Her first husband tragically passed away just 6 months into their marriage. Bozina's beauty and gentle demeanor won Valentin over. She had a way of speaking that was both warm and polite, and when she met Christina, the two got along wonderfully. Bozina often joined the family for outings, further cementing her connection with them. It didn't take long for Valentin and Bozina to realize they wanted something serious. After just 7 months of dating, they decided to take the next step. They visited Bozina's parents in Kustendil, and on February 10, 2017, Valentin and Bozina tied the knot. At the time, Valentin was 28, and Bozina was 31. Their whirlwind romance may have been short, but it was clear they were ready to start a new chapter together. Wanting to build a life together, Valentin and Bozina decided to buy a new house on an installment plan. The house was just 4 kilometers away from Christina's home, which made it easy for Anelia to drop by often. She'd pop in to say hello or deliver food from their mother. In the beginning, everything was perfect. Anelia and Bozina got along wonderfully, almost like sisters. Bozina often took Anelia shopping at the mall, treating her to clothes, bags, and shoes. It felt like a happy, close-knit family. About 5 months into their marriage, Bozina decided to quit her job with Valentin's blessing. The plan was to focus on starting a family. They both wanted kids as soon as possible. Bozina had been feeling exhausted from work, and her doctor, along with Christina, advised her to take it easy to increase her chances of conceiving. Valentin supported the idea and took on the role of sole breadwinner. By February 2018, after celebrating their first wedding anniversary, Bozina started to feel restless. 7 months as a stay-at-home wife hadn't resulted in a pregnancy, and Valentine's frequent business trips to Sofia left her feeling lonely. She occasionally visited her in-laws and spent time with Anelia, but everyone had their own busy lives. Eventually, she started reconnecting with old work friends and joined a group of socialites who frequently hosted social gatherings. Valentine didn't mind her socializing. In fact, he encouraged it, thinking it was good for her to stay connected and avoid boredom. But things began to spiral when Bozina started asking for large sums of money for extravagant purchases, things that were flashy but unnecessary. Valentine was understanding at first, but reminded her that they were still paying off their house and car and needed to be mindful of their spending. He didn't mind her treating herself occasionally, but he set a clear budget. Unfortunately, Bozina didn't stick to it. The monthly allowance Valentine gave her often ran out, and she started spending on expensive items like designer handbags, overpriced leather belts, diamond-encrusted phone cases, and necklaces. The final straw came when Bozina insisted on joining a social gathering group with a monthly fee of $700. It wasn't that Valentine couldn't afford the fee, but the problem was that Bozina kept using the money meant for the gatherings to fund her shopping sprees, leaving them short every month. Arguments became a regular occurrence as Valentine grew increasingly frustrated with her spending habits. He finally put his foot down. "You need to stop hanging out with people who are just using you to sell overpriced stuff," he said. "If you're that bored, maybe it's time to go back to work. At least that way, you'll have your own money and won't feel the need to overspend." Valentine's plea for balance was clear, but it remained to be seen if Bozina would listen. In May 2018, a woman named Zornitsa messaged Valentine with troubling news. His wife, Bozina, had an unpaid debt for a ring and was 3 months behind on her Arisan payments. The total bill? Nearly $3,500. Furious, Valentine confronted Bozina, but instead of apologizing, she lashed out, calling him a cheapskate. Things got worse when Anelia, Valentine's sister, revealed another bombshell. Bozina had borrowed $2,000 from a moneylender in Anelia's name, and the loan was due in a month. Anelia had tried to keep this a secret, but when the collectors started threatening her, she felt she had no choice but to tell her brother. She knew it could damage her relationship with her sister-in-law, but she couldn't take the harassment anymore. A heated argument erupted between Valentine and Bozina, and in the end, Bozina stormed off to her parents' house in Kustendil, where she stayed for a week. This time, Valentine decided not to let her off so easily. When he eventually went to bring her back, Valentine made it clear that things had to change. He paid off the debt collectors who were chasing Anelia and cleared Bozina's social gathering and shopping debts with Zornitsa. However, he told Bozina she needed to sell some of the unused luxury items she'd bought to help cover the costs. He also insisted that when the Arisan money came in, it should go straight toward paying off her outstanding obligations. After that, no more Arisan. This time, Valentine had his mother, Christina, firmly on his side. She backed him up, saying that Bozina's extravagant lifestyle went against everything their family believed in. Feeling cornered, Bozina agreed to Valentine's terms and promised to change her ways. But just a few months later, in early September 2018, another problem surfaced. Anelia learned from a friend who worked for an online loan company that Bozina had taken out a $1,000 loan through their platform. The kicker. The loan had a steep 30% monthly interest rate, and with 2 months of missed payments, the balance had ballooned significantly. Anelia decided to confront Bozina privately, hoping to avoid escalating things with Valentine. When she brought it up, Bozina initially denied everything, insisting that it must be someone else named Bozina. After all, it's a common name. But when Anelia showed her a photo of the registered ID card tied to the account, Bozina became defensive and angry. Instead of admitting fault, Bozina started blaming the online loan company, accusing them of violating her privacy and threatening to sue them. The truth, however, was simple. The lenders were just trying to track her down because she was avoiding payment. Fed up, Anelia warned her sister-in-law that if she didn't take responsibility, she would report everything to Valentine. On September 20, 2018, Christina called her son Valentin in distress. Anelia, his sister, had been missing for 2 days. Her phone was off, and she hadn't come home, something completely out of character for her. Anelia was always responsible and never left her family worried like this. Concerned, Valentin and his mother reported her disappearance to the authorities. But just 2 days later, before there was any progress, Valentin received an unexpected call from a man who introduced himself as Playman. Playman claimed to have Anelia and said she was being held in a wooden house near a forest park. Surprisingly, he also said he was willing to release her for free, explaining that he was only following orders from the person who hired him, Bozina. Playman's only condition was that Valentin not involve the police. He didn't want any trouble with the authorities. Following the instructions, Valentin and Christina rushed to the location. There, they found Anelia safe and Playman waiting. They spoke briefly, but before they could leave, Bozina suddenly showed up. Shocked to see everyone there, she was furious with Playman for betraying her. Valentin, now fully aware of his wife's betrayal, sent Anelia, Christina, and Playman away, instructing them to head straight to the police station. Meanwhile, he stayed behind with Bozina, and the situation quickly spiraled out of control. The argument between the couple became heated. At some point, Bozina grabbed a lit torch that was in the wooden house, waving it angrily and even threatening Valentin with it. In her rage, she accidentally set the curtains on fire. The flames spread rapidly, turning their fight into a tragic disaster. When Anelia, Christina, and the police arrived back at the scene, it was already too late. Valentin had made no effort to save Bozina, and she died in the fire at just 32 years old. The police immediately arrested Valentin, who showed no remorse. Many speculated he had finally snapped after dealing with a wife whose reckless spending and escalating behavior clashed with the frugal, simple values instilled by his parents. The investigation brought in witnesses, including Playman and Zornitsa. Playman revealed that he had been hired by Bozina through a Facebook job ad. The arrangement was to kidnap Anelia and hold her for 1 day in exchange for $2,000, with 25% paid up front. Playman admitted he was desperate for money, which is why he agreed to the job. According to Playman, he had kidnapped Anelia on September 17, 2018, outside her office and taken her to the wooden house. But things didn't go as planned. Bozina asked him to hold Anelia for 5 days instead of 1, which made him uneasy. Worried about what might happen next and feeling conflicted, Playman decided to call Valentin despite his fear of involving the police. According to Zornitsa, Bozina had always been incredibly extravagant, especially after marrying Valentin. She often bragged about her husband, painting him as a wealthy royal-like figure who could fulfill her every whim. But behind the scenes, the reality was much different. Whenever Bozina joined her social circle at fancy restaurants in upscale hotels, she'd buy items from her friends and promise to pay within a month, only to rack up debts she couldn't settle. She even joined Arisan, a rotating savings group, but only made timely payments at the start before falling behind on contributions. Worse still, the money she borrowed from various online loan platforms wasn't used to pay off her existing debts or Arisan commitments. Instead, she spent it on other luxury items to maintain her social image. Valentin, frustrated with her behavior, eventually ordered her to sell all the branded goods she had accumulated. However, an investigation revealed that the items weren't sold. They were stashed in the apartment of her lover, Atanas. When called to testify in court, Atanas admitted to his relationship with Bozina. He also confessed that she had been covering all his living expenses because he was unemployed. The deal was clear. In exchange for financial support, Atanas was expected to satisfy her. After Bozina's death, Atanas had no means to pay rent and was forced to leave the apartment. Valentin's lawyer argued that on the night of the incident, his client acted in self-defense. According to the defense, Bozina had attacked Valentin with a knife and attempted to knock him unconscious while setting the wooden house on fire. She allegedly declared her intent to kill him to claim his inheritance and insurance money. The lawyer further stated that during their fight, Bozina admitted she had never loved Valentin and had only married him for his wealth. This confession pushed Valentin to fight back. In the chaos, He tied Bozina to a wooden post inside the burning house. By the time the police and her family arrived, it was too late to save her. Bozina was rushed to the hospital but didn't survive. The trial concluded on November 8, 2018, at the Pernich Regional Court of Appeal. Valentin was found guilty of second-degree manslaughter committed in self-defense. He was sentenced to 15 years in prison, with the possibility of parole after serving at least 10 years. Playman, who had been hired by Bozina to kidnap Anelia, also faced consequences. He was charged with conspiracy to commit kidnapping and sentenced to 2 years in prison. As for Bozina's outstanding debts from online loans, her application for debt relief was rejected. The responsibility for the debt fell to her parents in Kustendil, as Christina and Anelia refused to take on the payments. Meanwhile, Zornitsa and the other friends Bozina owed money decided to let go of the debts, choosing not to pursue them further. What lessons can we learn from this story? Comment below.